got to have the railroad agreement, so we can tie everything in together. So that's the only obstacle we have right now, and we can't move that any faster than what they are moving. So if you know anyone, if you any help, any encouragement, it would be greatly appreciated by us, and that would be super. So what's going to happen once we get all of this done? The fiber to the city hall, of course, will have to be tested, and that is actually going to go back to the G Street ribbon cabinet. We're going to go back to the G Street cabinet. At that time, there's going to be equipment that will be installed at the city hall, as well as your fire lines. Equipment will be installed, and that is your firewalls. The firewall from the city water treatment will be uninstalled and moved to City Hall, which will be a delivery of 500 megabits of dedicated internet access. The water treatment will be moved for the point-to-point to the City Hall for the equipment that will be installed there. The city fire department, we loaned actually the fire department our firewall. So we will actually uninstall, remove that, and that will actually then be configured the fire department to the point-to-point that will actually go back to the City Hall. At that point, the fire lines will be configured City Hall here. That will be a 500 megabits. It will be your point-to-point from the city water treatment plant, as well as your point-to-point to the fire department. After that piece, that will be your testing phase. Your testing phase will include all of those three. I just said they're going to come in and test all of the point-to-points from the city water treatment, the point-to-points from the fire department, as well as the dedicated internet access at the City Hall. And that should go pretty smoothly once we can get the railroad agreement, so we can actually light you up. At that point, we will then turn everything over to you. And you'll be good. So what questions do you have for me?
Who's been your contact at the railroad?
I'll have to ask legal on that. The legal's been handling all that. That hasn't been me. Be happy to get that name. Monica Aiken is our legal, and I'll find out the attorney she's working with there.
Okay, yeah, just send it to Jennifer and she forward it to me.
Not a problem.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, not a problem.
And Jennifer, would you forward it to me also?
Oh, I'll forward it to all.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you could help, if any help you can get, it's been 4 weeks, we're not making any progress on that at all, on the agreement. Okay. Anything else? Thank y'all so much, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 2, Mayor Robertson, discussion for possible action, reappointment of Regional Planning Commission member Leah Brown, term through December 31st, 2026. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Carson, second from Councilman Allworth. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 3, Mayor Robertson, clerk for discussion only, review of investment into former Armory building located at 125 Mill Street, rent received and listed.
So
Thank you,
Public
Greg.
Works Supervisor Craig Kraft and I met with the State Administration Public Safety employees today via Zoom regarding implementation of an after-hours utilities usage fee. They acknowledged the proposed hourly charge of $14.59 is based on actual billings, but indicated they wanted to negotiate a 5% annual increase. As the lease modification would have to be approved by the State Board of Examiners, they're estimating if they work fast that it will probably be July before the state BOE reviews it. So we've got a little bit, but I did request that it be made retroactive to May 1st this year. So
When they say they're requesting a change to the 5% annual increase, they're asking for a reduction.
probably, they said, the individual who will be negotiating, he indicated he would probably want to negotiate that percentage.
Even after they saw the cost incurred there.
Yes, they acknowledge that the costs were genuine and they have to be covered, but they,
Okay. Just for the benefit of the council, could you give a little background on how that works? Who pays what?
yes, when the state was negotiating the lease with the city requested that they pay utilities, and we were informed by the state that they prefer to do full service leases for budgeting purposes. So how the lease works is the city pays all the utilities, and they just pay one payment. And
With the idea
monthly
being
payment.
that the lease payment covers the utility.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which it currently is not,
No,
but that's what this amendment is.
yes, yes.
This one.
And for the record, Leo did draft the modification to the lease agreement. The state wants their attorneys to draft it, but they have his copy. So they are working off his work.
And this is a 5-year lease, as I recall?
Yes, it ends on April 30th of 2026.
And remind me, I'm remembering something here about when that happens, or is the 5% supposed to accommodate these increased costs over the life, the 5-year life of the agreement?
Well,
Or
yes,
is it meant to
yes.
look at that at 5 years and say, okay, this didn't work, we need to either get somebody else in there, or have you guys pay enough money to cover all of this?
Well, the modification that Leo drafted would only cover this lease.
Right.
If the city opts to renew with public safety, then, we can renegotiate the price per square foot that the state's currently paying.
And is that what they pay off of? They've got a unit cost per square foot?
I guess.
I
I mean, when we were proposing what we wanted, it was based on estimates when the Department of Military was in there,
Sure.
when the high school was using it for wrestling practices, when the city was using the building for meetings once a month, so.
Okay. Comments or questions?
This agreement, I'm glad Jennifer done the research on it. Her and I went back and forth for about a week on this, trying to figure out who was trying to figure out what. And she's pretty clear what she's done. It's simple math, that's all there is to this, and we're getting home. And that's short of it right there. And I'm glad she went on to that and got that, simple numbers, it's costing us $85,000, it paid $77,000. That doesn't work. And one of the deals is utility, it's heated by oil and 6,000 gallons of a whack.
Yeah.
So, they need to come to the table and own up, and, they're not gonna be there for free, that's for darn sure. So thank you very much for the research on this, and Leo for dropping whatever you're gonna drop on that, but we need to hold them to task on this. Thanks, good job.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll move on to item 4. Councilwoman Elliott, Public Works Supervisor Claycraft, discussion for possible action, selection of cemetery storage building quote budgeted in fiscal year 2022.
Report to table that, Mr. Mayor.
Motion to table?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to table from Councilman Alves, second from Councilwoman Elliott. Any further discussion? All in favor of the table? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is tabled. Item is tabled. Item 5, Councilwoman Elliott, discussion for possible action. Direct the city attorney to draft an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 5 Gaming Code in accordance with one of the following options or variations thereof, and making other necessary changes throughout. Option A, change may to shall in section 3.5.13F, making the 50 hotel room requirement in section F12 mandatory. Option B, eliminate the hotel room requirement entirely. Option C, remove the hotel room requirement but limit the total number of non-restricted gaming licenses that can be issued. Or D, require gaming license applicants to either have 50 hotel rooms or have at least one bar with permanent seating capacity for more than 20 patrons, and at least one restaurant with permanent seating capacity for more than 40 patrons that is open to the public 6 days a week during regular business hours. As I've stated prior to this meeting, we'll be taking input and the council will be asking questions of stakeholders, to include some of the property owners affected by this, whether they're selling or buying property, or developers, but we only have one representative per party speaking, if that's clear. And I would include Troy Matt in that, if you guys have something to add. So, anyway, thank you.
Maybe I'll start this off, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So in 2017, when we started this ordinance, let's address the you-know-why. The you-know-why was a gaming business wanted to put some slot machines in Ribbons at the time. And everybody thought that was a horrible idea. We were afraid that people would go in and gamble before they went to the grocery store. offer groceries, so it sounded good, and then we started looking at it even more, and at that time, we were trying to get contractors up here to do lodging in hotels, so we attached the hotel rooms to this, so I think it tied in nicely. You know, I stood by it at that time, I still stand by it now. As far as this location, we all want to see it remodeled, we want something there. Do we need to maybe wiggle this a little bit? I don't know what the council's feelings are on that, but is it feasible to put 50 motel rooms there in this particular lot? Probably not, but that's kind of my quick and dirty 2 cents on it.
Okay.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Hello.
I appreciate everybody coming tonight who's very passionate about this project, and everybody agrees we want to see that corner cleaned up. We all want growth, and I think, you know, last week we tabled this to gather more information and gather more options. And you know, to kind of echo what Councilman Carson said, do we think 50 rooms can fit there? No. That's why we came up with this option D, because a lot of stakeholders had said at the last meeting that we need not just a slot parlor there. We all agree that we don't just want gaming, we want something to help, whether it be a hotel, a restaurant, bar. So we came up with option B as you know, maybe another option we can look into. But if there's another option that one of our stakeholders has, I mean, I think we want other options, we want to make a good choice. We're not saying that the 2017 council didn't do this without doing their homework, but I think, you know, a few years later, we have growth. People want to come to Ely. They see that, they want to invest in our community. So we want to be that pro-business city that people can come to. So, you know, I personally think that option D, where we're keeping the 50-room requirement for other future development, or saying, hey, put a restaurant and a bar in there. Let's not just put a Dottie's and a slot parlor that everybody has thought it was going to be. But like I said, if anybody has any other options where maybe it's 10 rooms, maybe it's something different, maybe it's something we can look into to still keep rooms. I mean, I think we're all wanting to make a good choice and not rush into it, but kind of where I'm at with that.
I'll just say, just giving some background on option B, that is that was pulled from the NRS, the definition of resort hotel, for counties that have over 700,000 people in, for unrestricted business or gaming licenses, they are required to have at least 200 hotel rooms and a restaurant that seats, I think, 60, and then a bar that seats 30. So this was sort of an idea to follow law that has already been established by the Nevada legislature, but just putting a small change on it and making that and an or, which would allow the development that the city is considering now, but it would also keep in place the 50 hotel requirement.
So,
Councilwoman Williams, I've been asked to ask you when you speak to sit closer to the mic.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I still think we're sort of all over the place. I am going to say, my thought process is very much in line with Councilman Carson. We do want to be a destination place. We need hotel rooms. I do know that I don't want us to rush this, and I have had some folks with vested interest and other folks say that they would still like to have some more conversation. And again, I would like to see us with the hotel rooms. I guess what I would like to ask Leo is there a way that legally, without infringing upon the open meeting law, that we can have a meeting that's a conversation rather than a 3-minute, this is what I think, is that a possibility, or?
If
Well, I
I
think
could
that's what we're
clarify a
gonna-
little bit, there is no 3-minute limit on the discussion here tonight.
Yeah, I
I
think that's
mean,
what we're gonna
for-
try to do tonight by allowing the stakeholders to also take part in this conversation.
Okay, then if we're doing that, then I'm okay with that, because I've had some stakeholders actually talk about some of the things that you're talking about. Again, I feel like we need the hotel rooms. future business, I think that that's what gets us into trouble. So, I think that is something that we do need, but like I said, I don't wanna rush it, and you're telling me they're gonna be able to talk a little bit more. I would like us to be able to.
And if there's specific questions for some of the stakeholders from the council, I would encourage it to kind of get started that way. I do have a question for Mr. Horvath, if you could come to the podium.
And I guess before we proceed, just really quick, once the council makes a decision, it's required under our city code that we hold a hearing. And the idea is to probably have that in conjunction, so we'd have a public hearing on the proposed change. And then subsequent to that hearing, we would have the first reading of the ordinance, whatever that proposed change be. So that would be another opportunity for everybody to come and speak on the issue as well.
Also do a business impact study as well.
Yes, that may be an issue as well, that we.
Was a business impact study required when this was put into effect?
Lovely.
And was it done?
That I don't know.
You mentioned the hotel rooms and RV park spaces that would be going away if this development went forward. I noticed that the Bonnery RV park is not listed on your room tax monthly report. Is that covered under something else?
It's when we ask for our properties to report on what facilities they have so that we can update our lodging brochure. They fill out how many motel rooms, how many RV resorts, or how many RV spots. So I don't think the Bonaire was included in that. I thought that was a whole separate thing. So what I was going off of was just what the Board Inn reported in their annual room tax license, what the facilities were.
The Border Inn?
Or, excuse me, I'm so sorry, Great Basin.
Oh, the Great Basin.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So you guys currently aren't collecting a lodging tax from the Bonnery trailer park?
No.
Okay, that was just a clarification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So,
Please.
yeah, I feel like in the short time I've been here, we've been through one training, and part of that training was talking about once the board has made a decision, we kind of need to get on board with the said decision. So I'm not trying to preface this with this. I think the option A, with maybe the adjustment of being in line with the county, which would kind of,
There's this 30.
there's just 30 rooms, right? It's 30 rooms, so it kind of goes back to 50 rooms not being feasible on that property. Who knows what that number is, but maybe being in line with them and changing it from the shall, or from the may to the shall. So that's just where I'm at with the idea that the very first time that this ordinance is being tested, we're kind of, and having Mr. Carson say that they have the public comments before and everything like that. I don't feel like we should rehash something that's never actually been tested, so I would like to see that maybe go to shall, but maybe look at the rooms, lowering it to 30, so we're in line with the county.
Councilman Carson, do you know if there was a business impact study when you guys initially did that back in 2017?
I don't recall one.
Mr. Mayor, my 2 cents, I appreciate the audience coming and voicing their opinion, but with the last meeting and this meeting, and in both meetings tonight, it was 100% to do something about rooms there, so I think that's good. Again, I wasn't living here, but there wasn't nothing involved in that 2017, and the choices they made, I think we need to stick with them. I don't know where they came up with 16, is that a magic sweet 16, I don't know.
That was state, for the restricted stuff.
Yeah, that's-
Restricted
that's
versus
state
unrestricted.
gaming.
Okay, so that's that, thank you for clarifying that. When I first read this, the first thing I'm looking at is Title III, Chapter 5, Gaming Code, and all of a sudden I'm starting to see food, bars. I think we're muddying the water by adding some of these options in there. I think that's a separate, of course, we could amend it, but, so what I was focused on, my comments are just the gaming code. You know, and I feel, again, you know, whether, can we put 50 rooms out there? You can stack them up, what the limit, 35 feet or 3 stories tall, chief, whatever, you know, but, I'd like to see sort of a flexibility of, okay, how about, 30 slot machines, 25 rooms, something like that, you can push it
Like a
around.
sliding kind of.
Yeah, You know, if you get up to 100 slot machines, well, you can look at 50 rooms. You know, let them test the waters a little bit. Again, I don't know if there's space to build that kind of hotel type thing on there. As for the other capacities, until tonight, where we read Terrible anticipates developing a tavern, gastro pub that will also offer gaming. This is a new building format for Terrible as such. They cannot provide any additional details. That just popped up tonight, so that feeds into the rest of this. The other one's about having a diner there and a place to sit down and get back with you. So that changes some of them, I thought, if they're gonna do it, but we still don't know if they're gonna do that part. So we're still back to the dilemma of the slot machines and how many rooms we're gonna do. I think, again, I think we need to hear from the business owners and our constituents that that's something to consider, a sliding scale, 16 rooms, machines, do we move it to 30 and then ask for 25 rooms, or again, and just because I like the idea of the county code, but I do not want to refer to as a county, what the county has. That's right up front. I don't care what the county has. This is what the city has and what the city needs. So that's my comment on that.
Well, and just for a little clarification, we are not legislating what someone should be doing on this corner. They may choose, they may not to. This is gotta be kind of looked at, I think, independent of that, and more just on the effect of the community that are there. Is there anything any of the stakeholders want to add at this juncture?
Good evening, Council. Jason Berger with the Prospector. In regards to, is there enough room to build 50 hotel rooms out in that corner? Yes, there is. The existing footprint of their slot parlor is 12,000 square feet. So you could stack 25 rooms on 12,000 square feet, have a 3-story building. First floor being their slot parlor, second 2 floors being hotel rooms, and have a 3-story building that meets the height requirement in the city. So that can easily be done, 50 hotel rooms. I'm all in favor of the sliding scale. If you want to go 16 or more machines, you have X amount of rooms. 30 more machines, another X amount of rooms. I'd like to answer any questions that you may have on any sliding scales or room requirements or what could fit there.
Would you be okay with just the idea of 30 or a lower number? Now we just try to make Leo's job a little bit less difficult trying to write a sliding scale into the ordinance. If we just picked a number that was something sustainable, 30, is that?
A lower number
than
of
50.
hotel rooms?
Yeah, than 50.
Talking about 16 or plus machines?
Correct.
Yeah, we do it.
Something that the city came up with, Jim, not the county.
Is there a?
No other questions?
So did,
For me,
yeah,
or for Jason?
well, sort of talking to both of them. So Jason, did you come up with, did you give a specific amount of rooms?
No, just hearing the discussion within the last few minutes on the sliding scale, 16 or plus machines, 30 rooms or whatever it may be. I think the industry is open, and obviously there's a huge advantage to the city by having rooms, and not the slot machines that generate no income for the city. So there's definitely room on that corner to build rooms, especially if you're gonna have a 12,000 square foot slot parlor. That's a huge building. You can stack hotel rooms on top and meet 50 room requirement if it only be a 3-story building.
Okay, with that said, Jason, stack them like that, which I understand you can build it. What would happen if they wanted to do food? Would they still be able to have a restaurant in there?
Oh yeah, 12,000 square foot building. The Prospector's casino size is 6,000 square feet. The Hotel Nevada is 6,000 square feet. That gives you an idea how big that building's gonna be.
Wow, thank you. That's interesting.
There had been slot machines in the grocery store before, or was it suddenly such a problem back in 2017?
I don't know, but yeah, it was quite the deal.
They wanted to put more than 16.
I think we're supposed to have 7. Is that?
I don't think it was quite 16.
Okay.
Community service first, 7, I think is what they can have. Yeah, no more than 7, so I think that would be probably what they're trying to do, actually.
Yeah.
Put it in more like that.
have Josh and Tyler on Zoom, and we might have somebody from Terrible, so I don't know if they wanna chime in.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Before we go to that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason. Could I have Annie? Is she still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate all your comments to me, dealing with the Hotel Nevada. How, you know, I know you're strictly pro the rooms out here. And I'm just curious, since the Hotel Nevada's over the hill, out of the main thoroughfare going through the city, how is your business, if they put in these 50 rooms, do you feel that will impact in a negative way your establishment? I mean, that's the one thing, I mean, downtown, you're the biggest hotel downtown. The rest of them take a lot of construction workers per se. Everybody else stays at the big five, you know. So how does that, that's why I just, I mean, you're pushing for it, but it seems like it's gonna pull away from your establishment.
Right, and it would, most likely. However, we need the rooms in the community, you know, so I think that, you know, the Hotel Nevada, in my mind, is an icon, and it is a destination within itself, and, you know, having the jailhouse across the street, you know, sort of, there's some reciprocity there as far as customer base, and so, it would, you know, ultimately, yes, it probably would have some impact on our business. However, you know, as far as White Pine County is concerned, we really do need the rooms. I mean, we get full fast, you know, and when, you know, Jason's dad and my dad were partners, they bought a lot of the ancillary properties, you know, the jailhouse, the Four Sevens and some other motels, like, you know, anticipating, you know, getting more rooms, quite frankly. And so, you know, I mean, I don't want to stand here and, I would like to see development, you know, I mean, I'm from the land of development, so I love it, you know, so I think that, you know, it would be foolish of me and selfish, quite frankly, to just, you know, to look at it from my own perspective and not be open to, you know, to the marketplace. You know, if there's a demand, there's a demand. I mean, I think, you know, Pine West and Herbst, you know, I grew up with those guys, and I don't know about the Pine West guys, but it's definitely the Herbst boys, and, you know, they know what they're doing. So if they decide that there should be a hotel here, then they know, you know, and they know that that's.
So what would be your recommendation for that corner?
Gosh, I don't know, like, I would love to see it, I mean, it would be great to see, something maybe that we've never even seen before, like maybe like a pickleball court
If I could just
destination
kind
or
of
something.
hit us back into bounds here, where
Okay,
they're just gonna talk about the.
I don't know if anybody's from the job, so I was gonna ask the same question to them, because it's gonna pull people from coming downtown. The Main Street group is pushing and promoting Main Street, but you gotta get over the hump to
Right.
get into Main Street. So, again, you know, but to me, I think that for the hotel and the jailhouse, there would be some negative feelings about it, but if you're saying you're gonna be full, you don't have a problem with losing business?
Well, I mean, it's not that we don't have a problem losing business, so what we believe is that, you know, with the park, you know, the rehabilitation to the park and the different things that are happening along Main Street, and, you know, and sort of, you know, that will draw the community, and there'll be events there. We rely on events, you know what I mean, like, we rely on horse races and you know, the bike and Birkin boat, whatever, and, you know, like those weekend events that happen where the city gets full, the races, you know, the car races, and, you know, those kinds of things. So, you know, so that won't change. And I believe, you know, most likely, you know,
Are you saying that wouldn't change whether or not the development's allowed?
Pardon me?
Are you saying that wouldn't change whether or not that development's allowed, or whether or not another hotel comes in?
No, I mean, I don't see those events will still keep happening here.
Sure.
You know, so, but they will grow if there's more places for people to stay. Right now, they don't, you know, we have to turn people away because we get full and everyone wants to be here at the same time. So, you know, so right now, this time of year, it's relatively quiet, but, you know, as soon as, you know, summer starts coming around, like, we're full, you know, and so is everybody else, so, you know.
One thing to keep in mind too, Jim, maybe is when they built the Holiday Inn Express, I didn't think they'd ever even fill it. It's full all the time, and I don't think they really impacted anybody else.
Right.
There's definitely a pent-up demand for a hotel room, like everybody's been saying. But a hotel doesn't require a casino. We're talking about a casino requiring a hotel.
So the 16 rooms is not an arbitrary number. I mean, that's what was established essentially by the game control laws, right? So the idea that they need to have 50 rooms was that, I think that grew in Councilman Carson can correct me if I'm wrong, but the 50 rooms kind of was established to swoop in the smaller casinos here that had 50 rooms, like the Ramadas and I believe the Prospector at the time. And, because they didn't have the Holiday Inn next to it. So that ordinance with the 50 rooms kind of was done to make sure that those properties, if they should change hands or something should happen with their licensing, that they would still be eligible for a game license in the city. And so that's where that 50 room requirement came in. I believe that if it was, if you were just starting from scratch and building a city out of the desert, you probably would see that most casinos would want to have at least 100 to 200 rooms, because there's a number that exists to where a casino becomes profitable based on the hotel traffic. And so that's really where that comes in. So that 50 room number may not be enough rooms to feed 100 slot machines. So that's kind of how that all works out. But, we get to do it our way here in White Pine County. So, my hope is that we find a way to button up the ordinance and make it meaningful for people to want to come here as well. So, I hope that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
Kind of in between the conversation Jim was just having with Ann, and you know better than I, because gaming is your business. But I'm thinking that you have people who come and stay in the hotel and they put a few coins in the machine. But you also have people who come, and when they see that there are so many different places to choose from, if you're coming to gamble and you like to gamble, that's what you're going to do. I think you're going to hit everywhere because nothing is so far apart. So in my mind, I'm thinking that will still benefit everyone. If my mind is correct, that it's just not going, no one's going to starve because if people want to gamble and they see, well, we've got a number of casinos very close together, on a nice day we could actually walk if we wanted to.
Sure.
I'm thinking that that money would be spread out and not just consistently in that place.
Well, the word on the street is that if there was a casino or a slot parlor built on Altman and Great Basin Highway, is it would really benefit the Ramada the most, because they would be the closest in terms of walking traffic and just proximity. But I mean, you're right. Like, people like to go around, they like to pop around, but they don't necessarily, that's just, they find their favorites.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mayor, can we take a very brief recess?
I would like to say something real quick.
We're gonna take a recess. real quick.
Okay, and then afterwards?
Yes, 5 minutes now?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
We'll take a 5-minute recess. Okay, we're about to get back to order. Thank you. Where were we at?
Discussing.
Yes.
I think we're trying to maybe get from.
I would like to say
Oh,
something.
yes. Marina's a property holder who's affected by
Yeah,
this.
thank you, Sandy Marino. Yeah, we live right next to this proposed project, and it's actually our fault that there's not an hotel going in, because Josh did make us a very nice offer to purchase our property, and it just so happens we just moved in, and we really did look in earnest, but there was nowhere else to go for what we have. And during COVID, the property values tripled, and we're on a retirement budget, and to get another property that isn't even close to what we have isn't pretty, but it serves our purpose.
Ms. Brink, do you have a comment about the ordinance?
Yes, I do. Do any of you live in this neighborhood? Apparently my husband and I are the only ones that live in this neighborhood. And here everyone is just proposing to put a motel in our backyard. And that's not gonna happen. I don't want something like the Holiday Inn down there in a residential neighborhood going straight up. There isn't room for the 50-room motel and the casino and the restaurant that they want to do without going up, and I believe that is zoned for only 2-story only. So you would have to restart the whole process. But I'm not interested in having a motel there where we lose all of our privacy. And like the Holiday Inn, they knew what was across the street before they built it, and then as soon as they built it and a customer complained, the guy across the street had to start moving all his stuff. So I don't care how many rooms you put. If it goes up, it's not going in our neighborhood. We'll start fighting it. Thank you.
And I'd just like to take this opportunity to point out to the council, maybe a little direction here that this ordinance has to be about our community and not how it affects certain businesses. Nobody comes in and asks my permission to put in another laundromat, or they come in and ask permission to put in another restaurant or anything like that. This can't be how business affects other businesses specifically. It has to be about how the community is affected for better or worse. And I think that's the reason the ordinance was put in to begin with. It was about the community, not specific businesses. In fact, competition is competition. And all of these stakeholders have said as much. We need to be talking about how this affects the community as a whole. I don't know how we could keep businesses from being affected just in the course of capitalism. Is there, we wanted to talk to Pine West?
I must have. I think they want to say.
Is Josh Lieberman on the phone?
And Tyler.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Mr. Lieberman or Tyler?
Yeah, this is Tyler West. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. Thank you this evening for allowing us to share and discuss our project. Just want to add a couple things that I think are relevant in this discussion. Where we are today, Pine West is under contract to acquire 13 parcels from 3 different sellers, which requires the signatures of 5 individuals. It's been a long time to get to this point. You had to have 3 willing sellers and their signatories who agreed to purchase prices with us to make this project happen. And we are where we are today, partly because Pine West is not a hotel developer. That's not our bread and butter. We're commercial and retail. We are attracted to this corner because it's main and main, in our opinion. It's a great part of Ely, and we knew it was going to be challenging. We are now faced with spending $100,000 to clean, just for our secondary environmental inspection. And we're going to be pulling the trigger on that shortly. But that's just to investigate the former laundromat, the asbestos on the property. There's a significant amount of money and time that we spent just to get to this point. And we agree with what everyone said. There is a need for hotels in Ely. We do not debate that at all, and we encourage that and want that to happen. But based upon our research, between 1990 and today, there was only 1 hotel that was built in Ely. That's the new Holiday Inn Express, which was built a couple years ago. That hotel was built after this 2017 ordinance was approved. So, with that, let's say we were to go back pre-2017 and not have this hotel requirement ordinance associated with gaming, would hotels have been built? Well, from 1990 to 2017, no hotels were built. Hotels are going to get built, and it's going to be driven by the market. Investors and lenders who believe in the market opportunity that is Ely. We think, we want hotels to get built, but the zoning of this subject property is C2. C2 zoning this is not hotel zoning. C2 zoning allows for a wide variety of uses. We could build a trailer park, a truck parking, a tire shop, tailor. That's just a couple of the T options, or options that start with T, that are permitted uses within the C2 zoning. I'd also like to add too, you look at throughout northern Nevada, Ely is an incorporated city. What that means is Ely abides by the decisions, the ordinances that you guys pass as council. Other cities throughout northern Nevada that are much more sizable than Ely, Elko, 23,000 people, or 20,000 people, Fernley, 23,000 people, Winnemucca, 10,000 people. None of those municipalities have any hotel requirement associated with the issuance of a gaming license for more than 16 machines. And if you look at those and drive through those towns, you don't have gaming parlors set up everywhere. You don't have, nefarious problems that people might lead you to believe. It's market driven, and if a gaming operation doesn't do well, it closes up. And someone's only going to build that operation and spend that money if they feel that it's going to be a worthwhile investment. And then secondarily, within Ely, casino definition is only allowed within the C2 and C3 zoning districts. And that's only a handful of parcels along the main strip. If the town were to amend this code, such that the hotel requirement is optional or removed, casino and slot machine use is still only allowed in a handful of areas throughout the city, as it is today, unless someone were to apply for a change. So there's still restrictions in place that prohibit proliferation of casinos and gaming that pop up. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any additional questions, but just wanted to share those thoughts.
Any questions for Mr. Webb? Thank you. Any further discussions?
Ann wants to come up.
Ms. Keller?
Hi, I'd just like to address the gentleman's comments on the online. I believe the reason why Elko and Fernley and Winnemucca do not have ordinances that mirror these ordinances is because the county has these ordinances in place, which they don't, or the counties don't?
No.
Okay.
No, I know, like, because of the last meeting when I had read off the counties, I know Elko County and Humboldt County do not have a county ordinance.
Okay. Well, the counties, 15 of the 17 counties have similar ordinances. There's not a lot of cities that have the same, so just something to think about.
But even if the counties did have an ordinance, it doesn't necessarily mean the cities would be licensed.
I asked Leo a question because, I asked our attorney a question because, just from the comment, and I needed clarity, so I hope everyone else has clarity. The C2 zoning, if we say that they shall build, and he wants to do that, then they have to go about getting the zoning changed if they want to do that. Am I saying that correctly?
To build a hotel.
To develop.
That would be my understanding. I haven't looked at the zoning particularly to hotels, but according to Tyler West, it sounds like there would need to be a change in the zoning. So they would do that before the regional planning commission, not this board.
So again, if we say shall, that's back in their lap, correct?
If they were interested in building the 50 hotel rooms, as
Right. So they have to do that. Okay.
What's the pleasure of the council on that?
Can I make a motion?
Please.
I would like to motion that we change the may to a shall, and change it from 50 to 30 hotel room required.
And I would look at our attorney here. Do we need to, would you also recommend you make the motion that we complete the business impact study with that?
Yeah, well, yes, I would ask. It's not on the agenda tonight, but that will have to be done prior to any changes to the ordinance. So
With all proper paperwork being filed.
I have a motion from Councilman Travis. Do anyone who would like to second that motion?
I'll second that.
Second from Councilman Carson. Is there any further discussion?
So just to be clear, so we're saying that there could be no less than.
No less than 30 rooms. but it's a shall instead of a may for anybody with an unrestricted gaming license. And we will be completing the business impact study along with that.
Who performs the business impact study?
We do.
The question.
Who performs the business impact study?
We would send out the notices, there's a bunch of requirements to notice the potential. I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I'm not interrupting you, sorry.
He's silently mouthing swear words back there.
I was just seeing if I could also make a comment as part of this.
Please, we'll hear you after.
My understanding is that the city would be responsible for sending out the notices and getting that ready.
Mr. Horvath?
I would just request that in that business impact study, we've put so much focus on what businesses are gonna be harmed by this. You know, we've got a gap in that part of town of people who say that there's no hotels in that part of town, other than the Copper Queen that's right there, but you've got Shooters right across the street, you've got a new market going in, a lodging property in that area would make the train that much more walkable, but right now the train yard doesn't have any properties around it. So I just want to make sure that there's balance in the economic impact study to where it's not just the businesses that are going to get harmed by it, but the businesses in the surrounding area that are going to benefit from it, because